Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of Shetland Trader Chats. Those of you who tuned in for the last episode will know that I was launching my first kit when I put that episode out, feeling very anxious about it. Would people buy it? And as it turns out, it's sold out within a day. So that was pretty amazing, I have to say. I was very grateful for that response, and I managed to get, I think, all of the kits packed and out, I think, within about another day after that. And I think they've all arrived at their destinations. And yeah, it was super fun. I really enjoyed the actual physical packing up of the kits and having a little production line going out in our barn studio space. I had invested in a thermal printer for the stickers, and it was all done through Shopify, so it went incredibly smoothly, which I was very relieved about. Yeah, it was super successful. I know some people missed out and were bummed about that. Obviously, I mean, I could have done more kits, but I just really didn't know what the response would be, so kept it at a limited number. And if you are looking for the Hearst colorway, you will be able to get it again through the Woolly Thistle. It might be available again even by now when this episode goes out. They had some in when I launched the kit, but it sold out quite quickly. But I know they ordered more, so I will put a link below to the Woolly Thistle in general. And if I see that it's on their website now, then I will link directly to the Hearst as well. It really is a fantastic color. I love it so much. And I started a thread on Ravelry in my Ravelry group for a knit along for the hood. And I initially thought that I would start that on the autumn equinox because I thought that would be kind of a nice time, considering that Hearst is a word for autumn, and then I'll be going to Shetland the day after that. But because everybody got their kits so quickly and everyone's keen to cast on, I'm bringing that date forward. So we are now going to cast on, and you can cast on and still take part in the knit along before this date. But I'm going to have a little kickoff celebration for the knit along with my friends Mari and Alicia, who I am going to go and spend a few days with in Colorado in just a couple of days' time. So we are going to do a live Instagram on Sunday. Sunday, what are we today? 11th. So that's the 14th. I will also put the information below, and I'm planning to put a post on Instagram for the details of that Instagram live. But we are going to do it at 11 a.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. So you can join us. They both have kits. I'm going to make another one. I don't think I'm going to do another one in Hearst. I either will do it in Old Gold because that's one of my favorite shades, and I feel like that would be a really cute hood as well. I also have quite a bit of Stone Wash, I think it is. Yeah, Stone Wash, which is a really nice blue. So might do it in that. The other thing I would quite like to do for this hood is to do a color blocked one. So you could do the front and the back triangle parts in different colors. You could even, split the triangles at whatever point you want to have a vertical color block here. And then for the hood, I'm thinking what I might do is, if I do a color block version, is I might add in the option for splitting the hood in half, so you would end up seaming it all the way down the back, so that you could potentially knit the two sides of the hood in two different colors. But again, you also could knit it, up to a certain point and then change shades. You could do a contrast color for the I-cord ties. I think that would look really cute. So I haven't totally decided which one I'll do next, but I for sure will do a color blocked one at some point. So yeah, hopefully you can join us for that. It's going to go, the knit along is going to go until Rhinebeck time, so October, I don't know, 15th-ish, I think. And I'm hoping that some of you will make it and wear it at Rhinebeck and take pictures and tag me and things like that, because I won't be at Rhinebeck. I'll be in Shetland, which will be fantastic, but there will definitely be some FOMO not being at Rhinebeck this year. So if any of you are there wearing a hat hood, I would definitely love to see it. And there will be some prizes for taking part in the knit along. I don't tend to hold very super strict rules for knit alongs, so I put the information on the Ravelry thread, and I will be sending some goodies from Shetland, which will include to winners, that is, for the knit along, and that will include some of the specifically Shetland Wool Week related things that they bring out. So they always bring out like a new bag and various different things that they sell during Wool Week. So I will be gathering some of that. And speaking of Shetland and Wool Week, I have started packing. Well, not packing, I've started laying things out for what I'm taking and making lists and whatever. I mentioned in my last episode that I was going to share with you kind of what I'm taking, knitwear wise, not everything. So that's what I thought I would do today, is just kind of quickly show you the things that I'm planning to take. Not sure if it will all make the cut because I haven't actually packed the bag yet, but you know, knitwear is pretty squishy, so I'm sure I can get most of it in. And then I also thought I would take this opportunity, because I'm bringing a bunch of colorwork sweaters with me, that I would go through some of my designs that are colorwork or stranded Fair Isle sweaters and just kind of break them down a little bit, so that you could understand which ones are easier maybe to pick colors for versus other, and just point some things out about them. So let's start with what I am taking. So obviously Shetland weather definitely requires layers most of the time. So I mean, I'm bringing on my rain gear and stuff like that too. But you know, definitely need a hat, obviously multiple hats. My favorite hats to wear are my Riggies beanie. So this is one that is a sort of a color blocked version in different colors. Then I have a couple of others. One that's sort of, well, it's nutmeg, I think, or cocoa, sorry, the color. Don't have it in front of me here. Solid color, and a blue one as well. So I'll probably take all of those, because those are the ones that I wear kind of constantly in the wintertime here. I also, for other hats, well, of course, I am taking the Wool Week hat that I knit up in these colors. So everybody tends to, who's going to Wool Week, tends to make the hat from that current year and wear it at the event. So I will have mine with me. I'm also taking the Booster Beanie, which is the hat that I made or designed when I was the patron of Wool Week in 2017. So I think I will also bring this. I am also going to bring my cake fridge hat from my book with Mary Jane, Grand Shetland Adventure Knits, which you can maybe see kind of just up in the corner behind me there. So yeah, I haven't worn this one that much. I've kept most of the things from that book in fairly pristine condition for roadshows, sample, you know, knits in stores, that kind of thing. So I haven't really broken this one in yet. So taking those. I'm also going to take the Booster socks also from Grand Shetland Adventure Knits, which I also haven't worn. These are the only pair of socks that I have designed, and it's the same motif as the Booster Beanie. And you know, just to point out, like when I designed the Booster Beanie, I wanted it to be very much an intro to colorwork project. So if anybody hasn't tried any colorwork before and wants to, this is definitely a good place to start because you only have one background color. And in this case, it's two contrast colors. You could do more than that, you could do less, but it's much easier to pick your contrast colors when you just have one background color. And it's also a short repeat. So it means you're not dealing with any long floats. It's easy to memorize, all of things that make it just a little bit more accessible as a first colorwork project. So same with the socks here. I think I used Retrosaria Pomar, Rosa Pomar's Mondine sock for the main color in the background, and Spin Cycle, one of the Spin Cycle ones, I can't remember, for the sort of pattern color there. And I definitely want to make more of these. So anyway, these are coming. Accessory wise, I am also going to bring one of my Riggy's cowls, probably this one. I gave away a couple of the other ones that I made, so this might be the only one I have actually, but I'm going to need something else. Well, I'll have my hair tap hood for the neck too, so maybe it'll just be those two things. And then on to the sweaters that I'm going to bring, sweaters slash vests. So definitely taking an Audrey and Unst vest. I have two of these. I decided I'm going to take the one in Sphagnum, which is a little bit more A-line in shape, and it has the curved hem on the bottom. So that one will be coming with me. And then for the colorwork side of things, and I guess as I go through this pile, I will talk about those colorwork properties and how they're different. And let's go back to, we're going to start with Yoke Kit. So I can't remember what year I published this, a few years ago now though, and I ended up making it into a tunic length version too, so I'll put up some pictures of that. I have worn it on a previous episode and showed photos of it then, but this can be made as a tunic length. It can be made with straight sleeves or with these balloon sleeves. And this one I made in Jameson and Smith 2-ply. So that's pretty similar to the Spindrift that Jamesons do, which is also a 2-ply, 100% Shetland wool from Shetland. So yeah, this one was in the Jameson and Smith. And in terms of the colorwork here, you are definitely doing more classic Fair Isle motifs. So the motifs themselves is a mixture of Piri patterns, which are smaller patterns, and border patterns, these kind of diamond shapes here. And there's even a little tiny bit of corrugated ribbing at the neckline here, and also at the cuffs. That's optional, don't have to do that. What is, in a way, accessible about this, again, if you're newer to colorwork, is that for the most part, again, it's just one background color that you are picking. So then all of the pattern motif colors, the pattern colors, just need to contrast with that background color. So in this case, you can see it's a dark background, it's a dark brown, really. And then all the colors I've used on the motifs are light. So I know they're all going to work. They're all going to show up. There is one line of a different background color through the bigger motifs, just here and here. That's the only place that there's a different color in the center. And this is top down, pretty sure. Yeah, it's a top down yoke shaping, obviously. So you can adjust, the length and things like that. Some people prefer top down versus bottom up. And there's different reasons why I choose them sometimes. There's a little bit of short row shaping in the back neck area here. And I think with this one, there's also the option to curve the hem or make it straight. And as I said, you can also make a full length tunic version with cute pockets too. So I'm planning to take that one with me. And then another color work that I did kind of at a similar-ish time to Yoke Kit is the high desert yoke. So this was when we were living in Reno, Nevada, and I was inspired by kind of the colors of the high desert in making this one. And this one, you know, I would call it a color work or a stranded project, but I wouldn't call it Fair Isle. There are specific things that make something Fair Isle. So for instance, none of the motifs in here are kind of classic Fair Isle motifs. And the Fair Isle motifs tend to go into a center point and then out again in a mirror image. They're quite geometric. A lot of the OXO patterns, they're called, were original, some of the first patterns that were developed as Fair Isle motifs. So this one is a little different. The other thing that is different with this is, I don't know how well you can see, there are some slipped stitches where you bring the yarn in front over that stitch. So it creates a little bit of texture on it. It almost looks like a kind of pearl stitch, but it's really just a float. But it's really just bringing the float in front for that stitch. So that makes that a little bit different. With this one, you can see that the motif or the pattern that's making the shapes is kind of done in one color, and then the background colors are changing throughout it in a bit of a sort of gradient there. So that could be a way to approach it when picking colors for it. So that's the high desert yoke. It does come with a long sleeve option as well, but I do find having short sleeve sweaters useful too. So that one is coming. And the other one that is coming is my Porty pullover. So again, I designed this when we were back in Reno, Nevada. This was the original one that I made, the first one, and the inspiration for the color palette came from this camel bag that my parents were given by a friend of theirs, and I ended up inheriting it. It was just really rich, beautiful colors together, and that was sort of the inspiration for the color palette. It can come from different places. So this one is also knit in Jamieson and Smith 2-ply. I forget all the colors, but they are listed on Ravelry. And I since went on after that to make a cardigan version. There's a sort of more unisex version as well, and then I did kids versions of that too. So there's lots of different color combinations to see there. Again, this is a stranded knitted project, not a Fair Isle project. In this case, the motifs, there's some hints of Fair Isle-ish motifs in there, but there's a lot more blending together of the motifs. And so with the colors that you pick, sometimes colors are pattern colors and sometimes they're background colors. I list in the pattern when you're using one as background or you're using it as pattern, so that you know as you work through the chart, because otherwise it would be kind of confusing. So with this one, in a way, it's more forgiving for picking colors, but you do still have to kind of break down each area to see where the colors will be sitting next to each other, and still thinking about that contrast aspect in there. There's lots of great examples of Porty pullover on the Ravelry project pages. This one I hadn't worn for a while, and I pulled it out and it's got a little hole in it. So I'm gonna have to fix that before we go. I don't know if I have more of this color. I probably do. I'm a little worried that the moths got to it. So I am considering doing more of a, like a needle felting thing over it to just try and pull those threads together. We'll see, but I do need to fix that. But I do want to take this one with me. out of all the different porty pullovers that I have, and I have many. So that is that one. And of course, I am bringing my Seafairdy vest. And I would say, this is probably the one that in a way is the hardest to pick colors for out of all of these, because you have your background color changing alongside your pattern color. And I've talked about this before, and I have a whole video specifically going over how to pick colors for the Seafairdy vest. So if you're interested in making this, you should check that video out. It will, help give you some guidelines on picking. I just taught a colorwork class at the Woolly Thistle last weekend, which was a lot of fun. I had 20 students, so a lot of people, and they had the opportunity to pick their own colors. So we talked about color choices and things to think about first, and then everybody worked from the same motif, but with the information I gave them, they then were allowed to kind of go to the wall of Shetland yarn and pick out 5 colors. So they were really picking sort of 2 background and 2 pattern colors or 2 contrast colors, and then a 5th sort of pop of color to put in there. And it was really fun to see all the different iterations that were possible. And yeah, it was a really fun event. So always great to visit the Woolly Thistle. And we did a little interview for their shopcast. So I think that should be available tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's going up on Friday. Again, if I have that link, I will put it in the show notes. And Maggie and Corinne are coming to Shetland for Shetland Wool Week. So Corinne's been to Shetland before, but Maggie has never been. So that's going to be really exciting. They're actually staying pretty close to where I'm going to be staying in Shetland too. So I'm sure I'm going to see them a bunch and get to introduce them to some Shetland things. So yeah, that's all the knitwear that I'm bringing. Oh, I'm also bringing still another colorwork project. I will be bringing, of course, my Veer that I am still working on, because I'll still be doing the knit along, and definitely plan to finish it when I'm there so I can wear it. Done a little bit more, I think, since the last episode where I shared this. So yeah, and again, colorwork wise, you have some striping to play with in the lace here, and again, this is just one background color where these, again, more traditional Fair Isle motifs are used. So again, a bit easier to pick the contrast colors to go with it. Okay, what do you think? Am I crazy? Like, is that far too much knitwear to bring? And of course, then there's all the things that I will be knitting on for the book. That in a way is harder to decide how to pack and plan for. I mean, I'll be able to get yarn there, so I need to not stress about that too much. But yes, I obviously will be working on lots of book related things whilst I'm there. And that leads me to talk about the heritage yoke. So this sweater that I'm wearing, another colorwork sweater with definitely a traditional Fair Isle motifs on it. This was in, or is in, Grand Shetland Adventure Knits. And in October, mid-ish October, both Mary Jane and I are able to release the patterns individually from the book at that point. So I don't know what Mary Jane's plans are for her patterns, but I'm planning to release mine not all at once, but kind of spread out, starting at that point. And the first one that I am going to release is going to be this one, the Heritage Yoke. So the original one for the book I made in Jamieson and Smith's Heritage yarn, which is a worsted spun versus woolen spun. So it is a bit softer, it's smoother feeling, and it's ever so slightly thinner than the jumper weight is. But you can still kind of knit it up to the same gauge. So plenty of people who knit this did it in the 2-ply jumper weight, not necessarily in the heritage. I am planning to make a cardigan version of this as part of that release of the individual pattern. So I have started working on that. There's not much to show you yet, but I'm using Merry Dancers as my main color, and I am going to be using these for contrast. So I've got Old Gold in here, Nutmeg, and Ginger, and Verdigris. So these are all Jameson's. And I'm also planning on not having different background colors for the cardigan version. So it'll just be the motif standing out against one background color. So that will just kind of show it in a new light, and could be something that you could do for the sweater as well. You could even just use one contrast color for all of these motifs and one background color. I think that would look really cool too. But yeah, decided that will be part of the release, that it will come as a cardigan version too. So that is that. Just going to check my notes for what else I was going to mention to you. Oh, well, a couple of you mentioned or asked in the last episode about the sweater behind me here. So this is an original Shetland Trader sweater that my mum had made back in the 70s. And it's based on an old sweater that's in the Shetland Museum, which was an adult-sized sweater, and this is a kid's sized sweater. And I believe she sold it as part of her made-to-order knitwear business that she had back then. There's photos of my sister wearing this particular one, and you know, it's because it's based on this old sweater in the museum. The colors were some of those classic early Fair Isle colors, which were things like madder and indigo, and the natural shades, a lot of murret and iset, and there was a sort of yellow that was dyed, a dyed color, I think from a lichen. So that's kind of what makes up that color palette. So there isn't a pattern for it. I am planning, though, to do a vest inspired by this. I don't know that it's going to use exactly the same motifs or anything, but for the book that I'm working on, the vest book. So I have actually had some colors sitting out here that are similar to the ones in that sweater. And I had this cone of Jameson's. So this is all, again, Jameson Spindrift. And, you know, the blue isn't exactly the same, but it's pretty close. So I'm planning on a vest in this palette with similar narrow bands across it. Probably one that I'll be working on when I'm in Shetland. So just wanted to mention that. Looking around me now to see what else I was going to talk about. Check my notes. Well, in terms of going to Shetland, so I have 2 days before I leave for Colorado. So I'm kind of getting packed for that. I'm going to be sewing with my friends, Mari and Alicia. I mentioned that in the last episode. So I haven't cut out for the things that we're going to make. So I might end up just taking my paper pattern pieces with me and doing the cutting there, because there's kind of been a lot to get in, because when I come back from that trip, I only have 2 days back here before we're leaving for Shetland. So it's been a bit of a mad week or so, trying to get various things done work-wise, trying to get things sewn. And as I was starting to get pretty stressed about thinking of not sewing for 3 months and not having my sewing machine and all of this, I decided to put the word out to Shetland-based people just to see if anybody had a spare machine that maybe I could borrow when I was there. And of course, more than one person stepped up and offered. And it seems like I'm all set with a Janome, which is not the exact model that I use, but I do use a Janome. So I am so relieved that I will have that. So kind. of Hannah to offer that to me and trust me with it. So I'll be taking a little bit of fabric with me, and a little bit of thread and things like that. But it's going to be really good that I just get to scratch that itch whilst down there. So yeah, very relieved about that. And of course, when I first arrive there, it will be just about to head into Wool Week time. I have not really looked at the schedule and what things are happening. I'm not teaching any classes. Obviously, my husband and I will have just arrived too. I probably will go to the opening ceremony, and a lot of the things I like to do during Wool Week are to go and hang out at some of the community halls where they have teas and knitwear displays, and you can just kind of sit and chat with locals. And there's going to be one of those happening at the Samness Hall, which Jamesons are kind of involved in putting on. And they did it last year, and I was there for it. But this year they're going to make it for 2 days. So I will definitely be going to that as well. My sister is also going to be visiting from New Zealand at the same time. So I will be spending time with her and her family. I didn't get to see them for that long in New Zealand, so I'm so glad that we're going to overlap in Shetland. So yeah, super, super excited about it all, even if I'm feeling stressed about getting ready. It's always such an amazing experience to arrive in Shetland. I can't really put it into words how it feels for me landing there. We will be flying. I generally don't take the boat very often unless it's the middle of summer, and I feel fairly sure that it won't be a rough journey. It's 12 hours on the boat. So if it's a rough journey, that's a long time. So usually I fly, and yeah, arriving there and driving out to where my dad lives, which is usually where I'm going and staying. We will be heading out there, but we're actually staying in a cottage beside Burrowstow House, which is not super far from where my dad is. And that's where I will be for the next 3 months, or up until just before Christmas. And I'll be doing this podcast from there. I think the internet's not great, so my episodes might be a lot shorter in order to get them uploaded and things like that. But I for sure will be taking lots of footage and trying to share as much as possible. And if there's anybody in particular in Shetland that you would love for me to like sit and chat with, let me know, and maybe I can arrange for that to happen. I've got a few people in mind that I'm planning to bug about it, not during Wool Week, but after that. So yeah, obviously I can't wait to be there. It's going to be so cool. And then quickly to wrap up, because this is already getting past the 30-minute mark here, sewing. I've made pretty good progress with those Helen jeans. I ran out of top stitching thread, so I am waiting on that. And then I just really need to do the seams, the side seams, and attach the waistband. And then those will hopefully be all good to go. One pair for Sage, one pair for me. I made a pair of Topo pants by Layla Makes. I did that kind of with a bunch of people that I'm part of this sewing group with, a larger sewing group outside of just Mari and Alicia. And we chat and share things that we're working on, and it's super fun and inspiring, but it's also a little distracting. So several people had jumped into the Topo pants, and I was thinking I wasn't going to make them, but then I couldn't resist it, so I went for it, and I just finished those yesterday. And when I tried them on without the waistband on them, I wasn't sure. They're kind of like an outdoor type of pant. I think Layla originally designed them sort of for climbing. So a lot of people, definitely do outdoor things in them. And my plan for that was that they would be good kind of hiking pants or whatever. So they've got two different views. The view I made has knee darts, and it's got like a side pocket that you would see often in outdoor pants, an elasticated waist, and cuffs and stuff too. And it was a fun sew. There was a lot of finishing seams and doing like 2 rows of top stitching on everything, so it did take a while. And I'm just waiting on a drawstring to come. But I will put up photos here of those. I actually think I will get a lot of wear out of them, so I'm taking those to Shetland with me for sure. I also made a bedrock tee, a long sleeved bedrock tee, and I cropped it quite a bit. And I also reduced the cuff circumference on that. And I made that out of this merino fabric that I got when we were in New Zealand. And I love it. It's nice stripy, thick striped merino. And yeah, it works really well for that pattern. I need to make one for my husband in the other merino I got. And okay, hold on one second because I have to tickle. Okay, sorry about that. It must have been a little bit of fiber got stuck down my throat somewhere. Not much more to add. I am making a Nova jumpsuit for my sister that I will see in Shetland. So I have cut out for that. I need to get that sewn too. And I think that's it. I'm about to get on a call with my menopause specialist to talk about how the birth control stuff has been going, which pretty much been on for a month now. And yeah, I feel like it has evened things out for me. You know, I don't know if it's too early days to say that. My husband certainly thinks it has. So he maybe has a better perspective, having seen me go through all sorts of ups and downs in these recent months. I certainly feel fine on it. I've not had any side effects from it. So, you know, I hope to talk about maybe adding in some estrogen at some point soon. So yeah, so I have to jump off this now, get ready to chat with her. And you will see another episode before I'm in Shetland, or maybe once I'm in Shetland, where when I go to Colorado, Alicia and Mari, who also have their own podcasts that I've mentioned on here before, we're planning to do a podcast episode all together, which should be really fun. We'll be sharing about our sewing time together. And that is it. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.